We want to be able to serve families for the future. We don't want you to be in a situation where your income comes down. We want you to be prepared for what's coming. We're not telling you anything you don't know. We're just trying to bring it more to the forefront and have more conversations about it. And it's not that the world is changing. It is the speed with which the world is changing that people are going to look back in 5 years and say, wait a minute, all of a sudden I can't get a job because I don't have these skills. They are looking to replace you. Why? Because you are more expensive. The only way you make yourself more valuable is if you learn how to operate the system.
Whatever you think AI cannot do, there is already someone figuring out a way to use AI to make that particular job or task easier, or for AI to replace it and do it all together and to sell that thing and make money from it.
The world is changing and you're not even paying attention on this episode of Major Money Matters. Hey, welcome to another episode of Major Money Matters. There are some things that are going on right now. And when we're doing mortgages, we talk about things on the income side, as well as on the mortgage underwriting side. And income and being able to afford a mortgage is a very huge part of the qualifications that we take a look at while you're in the purchasing process. And I was having a conversation with my brother, and we started talking about the changing world and how the world is changing. And I don't think people are actually paying attention to what's going on in the world right now. So I decided to bring in my brother for us to have this conversation on screen. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Always fun when you want to talk about things changing. I mean, one of your get off my lawn conversations that shows that, that we are getting older and we've got to talk these things through.
More seasoned. And speaking of getting older, you and I both have teenage kids. Okay. I have a kid who's out of college. You have a kid who's in college. And then we have teenagers also. And, I was having this conversation as my kids are going into finals week, and at home for the people I currently have a 16, 15, and 13-year-old at home. And your kids, Marion, you can tell the great people how old your kids are.
Yeah, I have 7, 9, and 15. And then
okay, cool.
21 is a rising senior in college.
Nice. Then I got the 24-year-old who's graduating flight school at the beginning of next month. And he's going to be flying C-17s for the Air Force. And so I'm having this conversation with my kids as they're preparing for finals. And I realized that, we started having this conversation like, hey, or, kids do what kids do. Like, I'm never going to use this again. I don't care what a derivative is and all that stuff. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to major in mathematics and everything. And they're having these kid conversations. And then I start asking the question like, hey, what do you want to do when you get older? And then they say, like teenagers normally say, I don't know. And then I start like, you got to know what you're going to do and all this stuff. And then I start thinking about this, and I'm thinking the jobs that you might want to do are not even going to be available or around as jobs, even in the current makeup of those jobs in 5 to 10 years, because the world is changing so fast that, you're not even the job that it is today is not even going to look the same in 5 years.
No, it's not. And, I keep my ear to the streets in all things AI. I just love it. I've absorbed it. Anybody doing an AI webinar or conference, I want to be a part of it. I just want to learn, because I know that it's the future. And when you talk about jobs not existing, okay, let's go back to you and I graduated from high school over 25 years ago. Okay. True. And that's crazy to say that out loud, but it is the absolute truth, right? So when we were in high school, no one said, when I grow up, I want to be a social media manager.
Yeah, not at all.
I want to be a brand influencer or a content curator for other people. Those things did not exist. We, during this 20-minute talk or so, we'll reference John Hope Bryant, and we will also reference Neil deGrasse Tyson, where they talk about historical references of how fast these changes can occur, but with AI, it's happening even faster.
So for that point, for the speed of how fast this is happening, and we'll bring up some current events that people just see as kind of, there are times when things can be happening around you and you not really grasp what's happening around you, because it's kind of like the frog being heated up like 1 degree at a time. Okay. So, we both have an uncle. Okay. We have an uncle who was in prison, is in prison, okay? And this uncle did some stuff to go to prison. And he went to prison back when I was maybe, 3 or 4? Maybe you were 2? Was that right?
Yeah, I don't remember him ever being free.
Okay, cool. So I think I was about 2 or 3 when he went to prison, okay? He came out of prison 20 years later. And, probably 25 years later, he came out of prison, and the world had changed so much, he couldn't grasp the speed with which the world had changed. Okay. And he could not function in the world outside of prison because it was so different than what it was when he went into prison. And he asked to go back to prison. And so the prison system said, well, we're going to let you go back to prison because we don't want you to do something to go back to prison. So we're going to let you go back to prison. And he's in prison to this day, okay? Because he can't grasp the speed or the differences of the world when he went to prison in 1982 versus him being on house. He couldn't make the mental transition of the world. There are going to be people who the world changes so quickly in 5 years that they're not even going to be able to grasp how quickly things have changed. And Marion, we see this, and I want to bring up some things right now, some changes that we see right now, and people aren't grasping that this is really an AI change, okay? If I go to, let's say I own a McDonald's, and you can look on social media and you can see somebody gets in a fight at McDonald's, or somebody gets in an argument with the counter person, and you can't really manage what that counter person is doing if you're the big corporation of McDonald's. So McDonald's says, well, look, I don't have to deal with your bad attitude. I don't have to deal with the hiring issues and everything like that. What I will do is I'll just make it so a computer takes the order, and the computer is not going to argue with the client. And you can't really record the computer saying something stupid and giving the company bad press. So therefore, we're going to get rid of that job entirely, okay? Or if we don't get rid of that job entirely, where we had 5 people working the front counter, we now are going to have 1 and 7 computers. And now we're going to not work. The people are going to go up to the computer, and then we're just going to place their order, and we're going to fulfill the order in the back. And over time, I think you're going to get to the point where the order will actually be fulfilled by a computer also. And really, McDonald's is not going away. Just like we'll have this conversation about loan officers, like, hey, is the mortgage originator or the realtor or the loan officer, is AI going to replace that job? No, but people who use it will replace people who do not use it.
Yeah, just the speed and the automation alone. If you are not using AI, first of all, if you're not using it today, okay? If you're not using AI today, you are already probably 10 times slower than a person who is using AI. If it is, I'm just real reference, ChatGPT rolled out a new image generator where I could just tell it exactly what I want. And speaking of those jobs that don't exist or do not exist today or in infancy, a prompt engineer is one of those jobs that is just now gaining buzz, that my 9-year-old son is becoming a great prompt engineer right now. And so I can tell ChatGPT what I want in an image, and it will give me that image. It will also allow me to make changes to the image. Say, no, I didn't want that. Make this brighter. Make this the color blue. Change this person's skin hue to this color. Like I can do all of those things, and it's going to give me something in seconds that it would have taken me days, weeks to contact a graphic designer in order to. So back to the point, I don't want to go too far. If a person is already using AI right now, they're going to be 10 times faster than a person who is not.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I actually have my first prompt engineer client. Okay. Salary, $145,000 a year.
Let's go.
Okay? Age, 28 years old. Okay. Now, I'm like, first of all, I was blown away. Because I asked him, like, what exactly is a prompt engineer? Okay. And for the people that are not paying attention, what a prompt engineer does is they figure out different prompts to communicate better with the AI system in order to get the AI system to produce what you want it to produce. So the prompt engineer could work for the AI company in receiving inputs from individuals and then producing what the AI system, being more efficient with the AI system, or the prompt engineer could work for a corporation that input certain things into an AI system in order to get a better product out of the AI system. So this person was making 145 grand a year, 28 years old. And I'm like, if you told somebody 3 years ago, hey, I want to make six figures, okay? I want to make six figures. I don't want to go to work, or I don't want to get up and get out of my pajamas, and I want to work from home, and I want to make six figures. 3 years, 3 or 4 years, well, we were in the pandemic, so there were some people that were doing it. But pre-pandemic, somebody doing that, they would have said, you're absolutely insane. That's not the way the world works. But the world is changing. And people are doing this all over the world. And what we call, are we UNC status? Are we UNC status yet?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we're UNC status,
yes.
Okay, in Gen Alpha term. We UNCs, we're not even realizing what's going on. And I can't even yell at my kids anymore, or I can't even parent them in the same way, because the world's going to be so different when they get to be adults, when they're graduating college, and then they ask me the all important question, Dad, do I really need to go to college? I don't know. You know, I mean, I want you to have a plan, but do you really need to go to college? College might be a little bit antiquated, okay? Especially if you're going to go to college and take out $120,000 of student loan debt. You know, what's the point of that? You know, it's just a changing world right now. But prompt engineers, the pay for a prompt engineer, I had to look this up. Starting pay for a prompt engineer is $80,000 per year, starting pay. And it can go up to $180,000 per year. For a prompt engineer, just learning how to work with AI systems. And AI is bringing out all of these new jobs. And I'm looking at people who are in, like, I mean, frankly, people in our community, in the Black community, where they may have jobs that they work with computers a lot. Okay. And what are your thoughts on, like, people who work with a computer right now in their job?
So if you work with a computer right now, and while you're talking, you're bringing up so many examples to me, I'm filtering them out as you talk so that I could boil it down to, you know. But if you work with a computer right now, okay, there is a computer who can talk to that computer and do your job. That's the simplest way I can put it. If your tool is a computer to do your work, okay, then there is a computer today, not even in the future, that can talk to that computer and do what you do. There are nuances, okay, that are going to require a human touch. And so that human touch is what people will be hired for. But if it's a computer that can point and click and do what you do, it already exists, and your job will soon be obsolete. Let me give an example, okay? Quick example was in the steel industry, all right? And I don't know the specific year, but I'll just say early 1900s. There were probably 10 to 20 people that had to hammer and process a piece of steel in order to get it into a sheet to be usable and malleable for the things that it needed to be used for. At some point, machinery evolved, and then there was a press that would press that piece of steel into the position that you needed it to be. It only took a fraction of the time in order to do it, and it did it with 20 times the hydraulic power that could be produced by a human. So whereas there were 20 people doing that job, now it only took one person to operate that machine. And the people who got jobs were the people who learned how to operate the machine.
So yeah, this is a good point. I mean, and if you go back through history, you'll see certain iterations of this. And, even right now in the mortgage space, United Wholesale Mortgage, UWM, just rolled out this AI loan officer assistant. Okay. Now, let's talk about how things worked. Frankly, how things work for me right now. I'm a loan originator. You're a loan originator. If we realize that someone needs to refinance, or it's in someone's best interest to consider a refinance, we will call up that buyer, try to get that buyer on the phone, tell them what their new payment's going to be, tell them where rates are, have a conversation that could take 20 to 30 minutes for them to say, yes, Major, it's time for me to refinance. Now, when I refinance someone, breaking news, I make money. Okay. Also, the company where I send that loan also makes money. Okay. So this is not just something that's great for the buyer, it's great for the economy. All right. So, UWM rolled out this AI assistant that they call Mia, and Mia calls the buyer and Mia can call 50, 60 buyers in a day, where I currently employ someone to make phone calls to clients. Mia and this AI system will do this without me paying for them, because UWM's not charging me for it. They're just saying, hey, use the system. And that you will have a conversation with this AI, and you will think that this AI is a real human being. And you may say, well, I can tell that it's an AI individual because of the way they answer the question, the way they say things. Even if you can tell the way it is, if you can tell it now, you won't be able to tell it in a year. You won't be able to tell it in 6 months. So if you're saying, just think of where AI came from 3 years ago, and think of where it is today, and just think of where it's going to be in 6 months and stuff like that. So this world is changing. Even with my kids, the teachers are starting to incorporate AI because they figured out I can't fight against this. Okay. Now, if I'm a worker right now in the industry and I have a job, brother, what are some questions that now you do work, right? I work, you work. And we spend time having this conversation, is why I wanted to press play. But what are some questions, if I currently work a job, what are some things I'd be asking myself if I want to have a job in the future?
If I want to have a job in the future, okay, look at the tools and the softwares that are being rolled out right now, okay? And you want to get on top of learning and trainings on the tools that are rolled out right now, because each step, I was about to go into a Bible verse, okay? But each victory will help some other victory to win. Okay. So as these things are rolled out, you cannot put your head in the sand and say, oh, I'll jump on ChatGPT later. I'll jump on DeepSeek later. I'll jump on Claude. I'll jump on Gemini. I'll jump on those things later. The questions you need to be asking are, what are the functions I'm doing today that can be automated and replaced by an AI system? And then I need to learn how to get on top of that automation.
Because make no mistake, you are going to be automated and you will be replaced. Okay. Make no mistake about it. Okay. The company is looking to replace you. The nuances, the things that you do daily that are time consuming. If your primary job is calling people, computer system can do that no problem. Okay. Today, have a conversation with somebody. you're going to be phased out. All right. So you need to start developing the skills right now in order to figure out what is life going to look like for me 5 years from now. If you're 35, 45 years of age right now, you need to be figuring out like, hey, what do I need to be spending my extra time instead of rolling on, Facebook and Instagram and all of this stuff, just streaming on surfing the web or whatever. You need to be actively engaged in learning something for your future, because if not, you're not going to have a job when you turn 50. Okay. You're going to be making beans because they've already created a system that can do it. Just think, if you walk into Walmart or you walk into Target, you can't even be a cashier anymore, because where they had 15 cashiers, they now have 4, and you're checking yourself out. Okay. And you might say, well, they'll never go to exclusively all checkouts. So that's less jobs for human beings and more jobs for computers, because even if people steal, the money that they save by not employing someone offsets the amount that people steal. So it really doesn't matter. They're not counting whether people steal or not, whether they don't scan every little item. They're saving so much money on workman's compensation, employee salaries, and all this stuff that it's not even going to matter to them.
So listen, first of all, I want to touch on, yes, the cashier-less grocery store. Number one, Amazon has already done it. Okay. Number two, if you're looking at a big box like a Walmart or a Target who has billions of dollars, maybe not so much Target right now, but if you're looking at a Walmart who has billions of dollars to invest into technology, facial recognition technology, human patterns, they can check your temperature when you walk in the door. If you're standing there comparing prices, they can look at your pupils and your temperature influx to monitor your behaviors and your patterns. I mean, this is today's world. I'll give a real world example. I was in a big box store, okay? And so I had 4 of a particular item that my children like. And instead of scanning each one individually, I thought I would be smart, and I just scanned the same one 4 times. Okay. Well, the light went off and the assistant came over to me and it showed a video clip on the screen in front of me scanning the same thing 4 times, and it said skipped bagging on the screen. Okay. So, and this is the first time something like this happened to me. And I'm like, I start sweating real easy. I don't like foolishness. Okay. I like to do what I'm supposed to do and get on about my way. I like an easy day. I'm not looking to fight with you people. Okay. But that was a very recent, showed me, scanning this thing over and over, man. It is today.
Yeah, man. So I'll give you another example. My last mission when I was in the military, and people will say, well, there are some jobs that will always be here, there'll always be doctors, and stuff like that. There'll always be lawyers and all that stuff. I think lawyers are probably in my personal opinion, easier to replace than doctors, because it's just a bunch of law. I can upload 17 cases and say, hey, put together an argument for me based on these 17 cases. I can upload that into AI and say, hey, put together an argument for me, condense it into 3 pages so I can present it to a judge to argue why this person is not guilty. I think that's closer to reality than a doctor, which requires some, and a lawyer is going to say, Major, you're wrong, and all stuff. And I probably am. Whatever. It's just an argument. But my last job, my last mission in the Navy, we deployed on a hospital ship, and they use robotics to do a surgery on an individual. Okay, using robotics. That is going to really increase, because really There is no Grey's Anatomy without doctors making mistakes. Okay, that's a great storyline. You misdiagnosed, so I can't figure out you'll spend 45 minutes of the freaking episode trying to figure out what the diagnosis is for the client. Computers, robots can do that. Okay, and they could find something obscure to let them know it's this, not this. All right, so I don't think that doctors are going to go away. But I think where you have an operating room where you have 7 people doing a surgery, it is possible that you have 2 people and a robot doing that surgery. Okay. So even if you're a doctor, you're going to have to learn how to use these computerized systems in order to help you understand like where or what to do next and how to be more efficient in surgeries.
Yeah, so I am a science fiction guy. I love science fiction shows and I love science fiction movies. And when you talk about robotic surgeries, the scene that comes to my mind is in Prometheus. I love the movie Prometheus.
No idea what you're talking about.
Okay, all right. Well, there are some people here who are going to eat this up, right? But there's a scene in Prometheus where the woman knows that she has an alien inside of her and she has to get it out. So she runs into the sick bay of the ship and she jumps on the sick bay bed. The computer scans her body, analyzes, sees the alien roaming around in her body, pins her down, sanitizes the area, sections it out, cuts in, removes the alien form. Now, this is science fiction, okay? Base word science, base word fiction, okay? 2 parts of it. And I understand that. But just know that we're approaching a place where robots will internally analyze you. MRI. I mean, yes, there's a person that pushes the button to roll you into the machine, okay? But at what point do we just need a person to trip different sensors, lay down, and the table moves itself into the machine? Make sure you don't have any metal because it's going to pull it out of you, okay? You got to check yourself a little bit. And the machine can do a magnetic test on you to make sure you don't have any metals inside your body before the actual thing starts. I mean, we can put in redundancies, but what I'm saying is that there will not be a person needed to start the machine, to run the machine, to read the results, to even send the results to you and discuss your results to you in an intelligent manner. Like these things already exist.
So okay, so we got to wrap this up, brother, because we keep going. Because when we get on the phone, we keep going. It's no thing for us. But we wanted to do this because we want to be able to serve families for the future, and we don't want you to be in a situation where your income comes down. We want you to be prepared for what's coming. We want to we're not telling you anything you don't know. We're just trying to bring it more to the forefront and have more conversations about it. And it's not that the world is changing. It is the speed with which the world is changing that people are going to look back in 5 years and say, wait a minute, all of a sudden I can't get a job because I don't have these skills. And you have to be careful that you're not just surfing the web or just, strolling on Instagram, strolling on Facebook. I would go as far to say that you should be spending at least half an hour a day looking into AI programs. Marion, when you started rattling off like AI systems that are already existing, if somebody didn't know what those things are, you should be looking them up because those systems are leading the way or into this new revolution that we're facing. And we want you to be engaged enough to recognize like, oh, that's a big change that we need to be aware of. And you also need to look at your job and say, wait a minute, this is not built for me to be here long term. This is not built for me. You're not going to stay there 30 years and retire and get a gold watch and all that stuff. They are looking to replace you. Why? Because you are more expensive. The only way you make yourself more valuable is if you learn how to operate the system and you learn how to not work against the AI revolution. You learn to be a part of it. And there's a lot of wealth that's going to be, we could do another episode on the wealth that's going to be created with the AI revolution.
Hey, you're absolutely right. The wealth that is going to be generated in the next 5 years through the use of artificial intelligence is going to be astronomical. The wealth transfer is going to be astronomical when you have artificial intelligence systems that can analyze performing stocks and tell a market when to buy and sell. You just have, but I want to touch on one thing before we go. If you think that these certain job titles will not be replaced, okay, if you're talking about an author or a copywriter, there's already ChatGPT that can act as a copywriter to help a person ghostwrite their own novel to formulate ideas. If you think that AI will not replace your favorite musical artist, I think the AI app is called Sonar or something like that. That can, and you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's sort of the name of it. I just watched a video of Timbaland, the world-renowned music producer, listening to a song that was produced by artificial intelligence. And he said, how did it know to drop the bass right there? And that's because in so many instances in the past, that's where the bass dropped. And the artificial intelligence knows that. It knows how songs perform. It even had soul in the voice that was an AI voice on the song. So if you think AI will not replace the soul of an artist, no, it can capture that as well. Whatever you think AI cannot do, there is already someone figuring out a way to use AI to make that particular job or task easier, or for AI to replace it and do it all together and to sell that thing and make money from it.
So I want to wrap up here, brother, with a challenge. Okay. So I, first of all, I have a case study. Okay. So my son, me and my wife raised my son. He went off to college, got a full ride to college. And now he's a pilot. So I have a case study, okay, for what it takes to raise children. Okay. So I got a prototype. Okay. Was he perfect? No. He was a teenager, did stupid things.
Were you perfect?
No, I was not. First of all, he was my first kid. Your first kid, you're just trying a bunch of things out. You have no idea what you are doing with your first kid. You got no freaking idea. And I was honest with my son. I was like, hey man, I'm just trying to figure it out too, man. I don't know. It's like, hey, Dad, what are we gonna do with this? Man, I don't know. Never did. But nevertheless, your kids, we're going into summer, okay? We're going into summer. With my son, he did not take summers off. He took summers light, but he did not take summers off, because any teacher will tell you they spend the first 2 to 3 months, especially in our communities, okay? They spend the first 2 to 3 months refreshing what you did the previous year in order to get you up to speed, so we learn the next year. So you spend half or 3/4 of the, first quarter of the year relearning what you learned at the end of the year, okay? So I encourage you to do this. Find something interesting to your child, okay, that's AI related, and make them do that over the summer, okay? So something that is engaging. If your child's into music, find some way for them to create music using an AI system, okay? Find something for them to be engaged with. They could just do AI prompts, you could tell them like, hey, we're going to go on a road trip. I want you to use ChatGPT to figure out where we're going to stop for gas while we're on this road trip, okay? Find out what the safest countries are to visit that also fit this other specific criteria in a Caribbean nation and all that stuff. Have them engage somewhere in AI or in some types of prompts or anything like that, because you want their mind engaged in something that they're both interested in, but also something that engages them for where the future is going. And if you are working a job right now and you haven't thought about how AI is going to take over your position and figured out how to get ahead of that and learn those systems, I would really encourage you to do that, because the world is changing faster than you can ever imagine.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with those things anymore, man. We'll go ahead and stop it right there. I don't want to tack anything onto it.
All right. God bless you guys. See you next time on Major Money Matters.